Okay, we're just about ready to go live. So here we are, and welcome to the Instant Shakespeare Company reading of Charley's Aunt by Brandon Thomas. And David Cedar is, my name's Paul Sugarman. I'm the founder of the Instant Shakespeare Company, who we've been doing readings for more than 20 years, mainly in the New York Public Libraries, which we look forward to getting back to, but now we've been doing them on Zoom, and we will probably continue to do them on Zoom. So now let me turn it over to our playmaster, David Cedar, who can introduce the cast and begin the reading.
Okay, so I think the first order of business is to introduce the cast. I'm David Cedar. I will be playing Stephen Spettigue. Bill.
Oh, yes. I'm Bill Greenberg. I'm playing Colonel Sir Francis Chesney.
Drew.
I'm Drew Bolander, and I'm playing Lord Fancourt Babberley.
Alex.
I'm Alex Chilton. I'm playing Jack Chesney.
Paula.
I'm Paula Hosa, and I am actually Charley's aunt.
Let's see. Kate. Are you there? Kate.
I'm Kate Mitchell. I'm playing Ella Delahaye.
Amelia.
I'm Amelia Bell. I'm playing Amy Spettigue.
Let's see. Taylor.
I'm Taylor Lynn. I'm playing Kitty Verdun.
And Asher. Sorry. Wrong Asher.
Asher. I'm playing Bradford.
Okay, I think that's everybody.
Oh, you're the guy whose name is in the title of the play?
Sorry, Sean.
I'm Sean Buckley. I'll be playing Charley in Charley's Aunt.
Right.
Charlie Whitman.
Okay. Our scene for this play is English College. So I thought we'd start off with a little bit of the Eton boating song, just to set the mood. Jolly boating weather and a hay harvest breeze laid on the feather, shade of the trees, swing together with your bodies between your knees. Swing together with your bodies between your knees. Okay, the scene is set at Oxford University in the College of St. Olds. Specifically, this first act is in the rooms of Jack Chesney, and specifically Jack Chesney's sitting room. The walls are paneled, actually half paneled, and there is a low heraldic ceiling in cream, picked out in color with dull gold and heraldic emblems. These rooms were rather elegant in those days for the more wealthy members of the colleges. We find Jack Chesney seated at his writing desk, trying to compose a letter.
I can't get into the vein. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to begin. I wish to goodness I'd spoken to her at the dance the other evening when she told me that we're all going away for the summer. Instead, I've gone and left everything to the very last minute, and I'm now regularly nonplussed. Ah! By George, wait. I know what I'll do. I'll make an exercise out of it. I'll write it out a dozen different ways and send the one I think looks the best. So, come on, Jack. Here we are, in love with the dearest girl on earth. Tackle her like a man and tell her so, or you'll be off north, you'll be gone down and you'll have lost your chance forever. She's my fate, and I'm hanged if it shan't be hers. So here goes. My darling, rather strong perhaps to begin with. My dear Miss Verdun. Now, too formal. Not that what I really feel. My dear, hang it. Why not? My dear Kitty. That's grand. My dear Kitty.
I beg pardon, sir, but would you mind?
Yes, very much. Go away, I'm busy.
Yes, sir, but...
I'm busy with the most important affair. Get out!
Yes, sir.
Just as it made such a good start, too. My dear Kitty. What are you doing, Brassett? Confound it all, what do you want?
I merely wish to say, sir, that I have laid out a few things which I...
Oh, right. Thank you. Get out of here and leave me alone.
Which I thought you wouldn't care to...
Turn down and keep them. Just take every blessed bag of God and just go away. My dear Kitty.
Sir.
Confound it. I wasn't addressing you. Go away. My dear Kitty.
I say.
I get a clear president! Oh, you, Charlie. What is it, old chap?
Nothing, Jack. I don't want to interrupt you if you're busy.
It's all right, Charlie. Don't go. It's only that fool Brassett.
Oh, what's he doing?
Only bagging all my clothes because I'm going down and worrying me like old Harry while I'm trying to write a most important letter.
Oh.
Don't mind me today. I'm nervous and naggy and nonplussed.
Oh, and so am I, Jack.
Why?
I've been trying to write a letter too.
A letter to whom?
To Miss Pettigrew.
How far have you got?
Oh, well, I began awfully well, but I didn't want to be too distant, and I didn't want to be too...
Familiar? Familiar?
Yes.
Oh.
So I just said, my dear Amy. And then the words failed me, and I've come to you for advice. You always know what to say and do.
Oh, do I?
You know my idiotic complaint. I'm shy, you're not.
Aren't I?
So, prescribe for me, old chap. What am I to say?
A good idea. I'll prescribe for him and take the medicine myself. Now, let's see. You're in love with Amy Pettigrew, and you want to know if there's any hope for you, and if so...
Well, you see, they're all off to Scotland tomorrow.
Yes, I know. And you want to see her at once. When and where? Bear her weight. Do I diagnose the case accurately?
To a T, old chap.
Very well, then. You want to say something to this effect. My dear Kitty...
No, not Kitty. Amy.
Of course. What was I thinking of? My dearest Amy, forgive me, darling, for thus addressing you, but I love you so deeply. Underlined.
Oh, rather strong, Jack.
Oh, shut up. So earnestly, also underlined.
I say.
That I must write and tell you so. All I ask is...
But there's one obstacle to my putting it quite as straight as that, much as I'd like to.
What's that?
Well, I've got an aunt.
My dear Charlie, most of us have. What about her?
Well, I feel I ought to tell her first.
Oh, if you're going to drag an aunt into this business, we may as well wait till they all come back from Scotland.
Why?
You know what auntie is when she steps in.
No, I don't. That's just it. I don't know her. I've never even seen her.
Well, we won't be too hard on the aunt. She hasn't interfered much in your affairs up to now.
Except to find out that I was an orphan and have me sent to Eton, to Oxford, and now my guardian writes to me that she's coming here this morning by an early train and will take luncheon with me at 1 o'clock.
And you've never seen her?
No. She went out to Brazil before I was born and became a sort of secretary to a very rich old Brazilian chap out there called Dom Pedro de Alvarez. And now, by the merest accident in the world, I've seen this.
Madam, or rather Donna Lucia Dalvadores, the Brazilian millionaire who's taken Lord Toppleby's magnificent mansion in Belgravia, is an English woman of genial disposition and a financial genius. Indeed, it was her capacity in this direction that earned the gratitude of her late husband and led to a romantic deathbed marriage. Well, I don't see much in that.
Well, go on, Jack, read the next.
Her only relation is a nephew at Oxford. Lucky nephew.
That's me!
Yes, by George, Charlie, this is a startler. And she may be here any minute.
Oh, I've met all the trains up to now. I wish she'd have come some other day.
She'll arrive by the next, just in time for lunch.
Yes, it's a bore. I wanted to write that letter to Amy.
I don't know so much about that.
Oh, but it's an awfully difficult letter to write, fearfully complicated.
Why?
Well, you see, I've no people or anything.
No people with an art like that.
Oh, but I've no reason to expect anything from her, more than she's already done for me, for which of course I'm very grateful and all that, but I want to see Amy and put it to her that if...
Charlie, I've got a thinking good idea.
Jack, you're a good chap. Write it down and I'll copy it.
No, not for you, for me, for us both. You've gone off on Amy. I'm in love with Kitty. Huh?
Really, Jack?
Oh, madly. Worse than anything I ever took up. Even cricket. Oh, I was writing to tell her so when you came in. There's the letter.
I'm so glad. And what's your idea?
Hang letter writing. We'll give a luncheon party for your aunt. Tea afterwards in the garden.
In the garden?
Yes, I'll get leave.
Oh, but my rooms are so small.
Never mind, I'll lend you mine. Brassett shall see to it. Brassett! Now, come on. First we'll ask the girls.
Ask the girls?
Meet your aunt.
Oh, what about old Spettigue?
Blow old Spettigue.
Oh, I forgot. He's up in town for a few days on business.
So much the better. Brassett,
do you think they'll come?
They'll jump at it.
What makes you think so?
Well, what do you think?
Why, Jack, you know I rather agree with you.
We'll send a note at once. You write it. Go ahead. My dear Miss Spettigue. Brassett, where are you? Brassett, get someone to take a note to Mr. Spettige's.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Jack, I've got that.
Would you and Miss Verdun do me the honor?
The honor?
To lunch with me and Mr. Chesney.
Mr. Chesney.
I'll address the envelope.
I'll address the...
No, not that, you muff. At his rooms, St. Old's College today at 1 o'clock. Miss Spettigue.
Miss...
No, look out. To meet my aunt. What did you say her name was, Charlie?
Donna Lucia de Alvarez.
Ooh. Done. All right, stick it down. An answer by bearer will greatly oblige.
Yours sincerely, Charles Wickham. Splendid, Jack. You're a genius.
It's a glorious opportunity. They're off to Scotland.
And we're off down.
And now we shall have them all to ourselves.
The messenger, sir.
Give him that and tell him to look sharp.
Yes, sir.
This sort of thing is not to be settled by correspondence.
No, and we shall have them all to ourselves.
Yes, and we couldn't have asked them if they hadn't been for your aunt. I'm beginning to love that dear old lady already. Brassett! Brassett?
Yes, sir.
Lunch for 5.
For how many, sir?
For 5.
For 5, sir.
What are you laughing at?
Well, sir, I'm afraid our credit in the kitchen is somewhat exhausted.
Oh, is it? How are you off for a tick, Charlie?
Well, Jack, I'm afraid my guardian's rather...
Oh, is he? Never mind. Brassett, get it outside, go to Bunter's.
I'm afraid, sir, we owe Bunters.
Oh, do we? Charlie, if you don't mind, it'll be all right when my pet comes. Here you are, Brassett. Do the best you can with that.
This is no good, sir. I couldn't get anything on this, sir. However, sir, I've no doubt it will be all right at Bunter's if I say it's for me.
Oh, all right, Brassett. Lunch for 5 at 1 o'clock.
Rather short notice, sir.
All right, long pay. Go where you like, do what you like, only lunch for 5 at 1. That's all right, Charlie, isn't it?
I say, Jack, that's my watch.
Oh, I beg your pardon, my old chap, my mistake.
What wine, sir?
Ooh, champagne.
Very little left, sir.
Half a dozen bottles.
No, sir. I think not. Only 4, sir.
Oh, quite enough.
6, I swear.
Pardon me, sir. Only 4 of champagne, and I think, yes, 1 of claret.
Oh, hang the claret. It's been open a month. All right. He sneaked those other 2 bottles. He's a corker.
Oh, my fellow's just the same.
Oh, they all are. Now, While you and your dear old aunt are looking at the chapel in the cloisters, Kitty and I can have our little talk.
Oh, yes, Jack, that's all well, but what about Amy and me and our little talk? She'll be in our way horribly.
Oh, I never thought of that.
Well, she's all well as an excuse to get the girls to come here, but by herself she'll be an awful bore.
She'll be worse than that. She'll be a brute of a nuisance.
What shall we do?
Well, Napoleon went over the Alps on horseback. I've been under them by train, so there must be a way out of this.
Oh, but how? Couldn't we ask someone to meet her?
Yes, someone we can depend upon.
But whom?
What about Brassett? He's a pompous sort of chap and as artful as a corkscrew. Can't we turn him into a don or something? Put it there.
I guess that's a good idea, Jack, but...
No, we won't do. We shall want him to wait at table.
Oh, of course, so we shall.
There's Freddie Peel.
Oh, he's such a cynical chap.
Besides, he'd neglect your aunt.
Yes, and he'd want to make love to our girls.
Oh, by George. I've got it. Babs. Fanny Babs. We'll ask him.
Oh, yes. Why didn't we think of them before?
He's a jolly cheerful little chap. We'll amuse your aunt like a deuce and keep her in a rattling good humour.
Splendid.
Brassett! Brassett!
Yes, sir.
Go to Lord Fancourt Babberley's rooms, give him my compliments, and ask him to come here at once.
Yes, sir.
Say it's very important.
Yes, sir.
And very immediate.
Yes, sir.
While Babs is doing gooseberry with your aunt, we can have a chat with the girls.
By the by, Jack, talking of Babs's cheerfulness, haven't you noticed something about him lately? Ever since he was so ill and had to go off to the Mediterranean?
I've noticed he's been jolly hard up.
I fancy from a few hints he's dropped me that he's a bit hard hit himself.
What, Babs in love?
Yes, and if I'm not much mistaken, he's as soft-hearted over a girl as...
We are. All the better. He'll feel for us. He'll see the necessity then of keeping the old lady well out of the way.
Oh, by George, Jack, you'll be a prime minister one of these days.
Confluence, sir. And he says he can't come. There's a luncheon party, and could you lend him a few bottles of champagne?
Lend him a few bottles of champagne? What of all the cheek?
Who's he got coming?
Oh, Freddie Peel and a lot of idiots like himself, I expect. And there'll be howling comic songs all afternoon.
Yes, it'll sound awfully bad, won't it?
He must. Yeah, Brassett, lay for 6.
Yes, sir.
Well, what shall we do?
Come on, we'll go to him. We must make him come. He can't upset all our plans in a selfish way. Put the champagne in, ice Brassett, and tidy up my room. Come on, Charlie, come on.
1 o'clock. Put room in order first. Always the way I hurry, scurry. No time for anything. And then they come with a bang. They go with a bang. Everything with a bang. Except pay their bills with a bang. Well, I did think that little Percocet was safe. Upon my word, I did.
Jack! I say, Jack, old man. Oh, where the dickens are you? I wanted to borrow some fizz. I wonder where they keep it. Hello, by George, the very thing. Serves them right. He shouldn't leave it about in such an ostentatious way when I'm so beastly hard up. Won't they be jolly waxy? That's a bottle of peace, and they must make out with whiskey and soda.
Hello, Babs! We've just been over to your rooms to find you. We've been talking about you.
No, really. I say, how do you think I'm looking?
Oh, splendidly, old chap.
Yes, I thought you'd be pleased with me. Well, ta-ta.
Don't go, Babs. You only wanted to see us, didn't you?
Yes, I wanted to borrow some fizz, but...
Sorry, I can't. I could have spared you a couple of bottles with that fool, Brassett.
No, my fellow's just the same. There's no reasoning with him, is there? Well, ta-ta.
Last night, Babs, but you were out.
Oh, yes. You know Freddie Peel, don't you? He's an awful idiot, hasn't a particle of brains, has he? But I'm all right. He gave a card party last night, and I won £100 from him. You should have seen his face. Makes me laugh now.
Freddie Peel hasn't sixpence.
No, really.
Did he pay you?
No, but he was going to when his grandmother dies.
Well, the old lady's been dead for years.
No, really? That's beastly. You know, I'm stumped. And he's had an awful lot of me. But he's an awful idiot. He hasn't a particle of brains, has he? But I'm all right. Ta-ta, I'm off.
Hey, Babs, we want you to stay for lunch with us today.
I say, you chaps, don't play the giddy goat. I've got to meet my tutor.
Babs, you mustn't work like this. You're looking quite pulled down.
Am I really?
I was only telling Jack so just now.
Do you think I should die?
Not you. No, you don't want to worry of all this study. You'll be a great man. One of the sort of other one of these days without all that.
Well, that's what I think, you know, but I ought to do something. We've had a wonderful lot of Johnnies in our family, great Johnnies in the army and navy and things.
I bet they never killed themselves with study.
No, but I must do something.
Of course, Babs, you must stay for lunch. Charlie's aunt is going to pay him a visit.
No, really? What fun. I know Charlie visits his uncle sometimes when he's hard up, so it's only right his aunt should return the visit.
Now, that's just the sort of thing we want. A jolly chap like you, with a fund of humour and a lot of brilliant conversation.
Yes, Babs, that's it.
To interest and amuse a charming lady.
Oh, yes. Who is she?
Why, Charlie's aunt.
What's she like?
Well, you see, Babs, we don't quite know. I'm to see her today for the first time.
I say, Charlie, she might turn out to be an awful old crook.
Oh, the widow and a millionaire. That's enough, isn't it?
Rather. Put me down for a chance, Charlie. I'll take a chance.
We didn't care to ask Freddie Peel, did we, Charlie?
No.
No.
No, he's an awful idiot. I say, what's her name?
Donna Lucia de Alvadores.
Oh, damn. What a name.
Look here, Babs, it's no use. You must stay for lunch. You'll find Charlie's aunt a charming old lady.
Charming old lady? I say, look, haven't you got anything younger coming?
Oh, yes, 2 other ladies.
Nice. Young?
Oh, yes.
Ah, that's more my line. How many did you say?
2.
Oh, I see. 1 for each of you and the old crock for me. No, thanks, I'm off.
Now, listen, Babs. This is an awfully serious affair.
I should think so with an old crock like that.
And we want your help as a friend.
As a friend we can trust, eh?
Hey.
Rather.
We'll take you into our confidence. No humbug, straight as a die. We're in love.
What? Charlie as well? You silly arse.
No fool of a flirtation business, but the downright serious thing.
And Babs, if you knew the girls as well as we do, you wouldn't wonder at it.
And they're coming here to lunch today.
I say. Have you proposed?
No, that's just it.
Oh, I see. You want me to propose for you.
No. We'll do that for ourselves. That's why we've asked them to come.
You know, Babs, you don't understand our feelings a bit.
Oh, don't I, though? I say, haven't you noticed how sad I've been lately?
Yes.
What is it?
Well, I don't know. But I think I'm in love too.
What makes you say that?
Well, I'm always wanting to be alone and hear the birds sing. And I'm getting so fond of poetry. I can't sleep. I took to drink for a couple of days, but it made me ill for a week, so I left it off.
Oh, you've got all the symptoms. Sit down and tell us all about it.
Well, you remember when I was ploughed?
Beastly shame.
No, not the last time, the term before. I was awfully ill and took a yacht around the Mediterranean, and at Monte Carlo, I came across an English officer named Delahaye, quite penniless and dying. You know, Jack, he tried to commit suicide.
Bad luck at the tables, eh?
Yes, he beggared himself and his only child, the sweetest little girl you ever saw, Jack. And to amuse him and to keep his spirits up, I used to play cards with him.
And what became of him?
He died, poor fellow.
Oh.
And what became of her, the sweetest little girl you ever saw?
I lost sight of her. A lady travelling home that way from South America, I believe, took charge of her and brought her to England. You know, Jack, I tried to tell her that...
You loved her.
But she was in such grief that I didn't think
it all
really
oozed out of your fingertips and the points of your hair.
But after all, you know, I might have been rejected and I should have looked a silly ass.
At any rate, you can sympathise with us. Hello. Here's the messenger back. They're coming.
Oh, by Jove.
Oh, so they are.
You'll stop, Babs?
Oh, I say, look here, wrong clothes.
No, you do as you are. We won't let you go now that we've got you.
But look here, Jack, don't play the giddy goat. I have something else to do.
What is it?
Well, it's something awfully important.
Well, what?
I'm going to play in some amateur theatricals.
What? You'll be ploughed again, won't you?
But I've given my word.
What are you playing?
A lady. An old lady. And I've never acted before in my life.
Oh, that's his tutor, eh, Charlie?
And I'm going to try on the things before the fellows come.
You can try them on here. Where are they?
In my rooms, in a box on the bed, but I've got...
Fetch them, that's it, quick!
No, I'll fetch them with my little bag.
Babs, you don't sympathize with us a bit.
Don't I, though? I only wish I could see my own little girl.
Oh, she'll turn up one of these days. Have a drink.
No, I've knocked it off.
Just a small one.
I'm teetotal.
Oh, very well. Here you are, Charlie.
All right, I'll have it.
I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll drink her health, whatever she is. Here's to the future lady fan called Babbly. What did you say her name was?
I haven't the slightest idea.
Go with you, Mr. Delahaye.
Thank you, Brassett. Thank you, Brassett. You're an awfully good chap. I say, Jack, lend me half a crown.
Charlie, have you got half a crown?
No, Jack, I haven't.
Brassett, give me half a crown, will you?
Yes, sir.
Babs, here you are.
Oh, thanks. Brassett, here you are.
What have you got there?
Chocolates.
Chocolates?
Let's have a look.
No, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll try them on after lunch while you're all in the garden.
You can't do that. We shall want you with us. Try them on now. Won't take long, will it?
Only a minute or two. I've lost an awful lot of time over these theatricals. The next term, I mean to work.
Oh, yes, here it is. Here's the name.
So it is, Mr. Chesney. I wonder if they're in.
Here they are. Your aunt's not come yet.
Oh, good gracious. What shall we do?
Let them come in. We can explain. Show them in, Brassett. So kind of you to come. How do you do?
Well, we were very pleased to be able to come. Weren't we, Amy?
Oh, yes. Mr. Wickham, are we too early?
Oh, no.
Yes, Mr. Chesney, you didn't mention any time.
Oh, not at all. We're delighted. She'll be here soon.
And this is where you think and study and do all your work and everything?
Oh, yes, we do a lot of that sort of thing here.
You've jolly quarters here.
I'm so glad you were able to come here today. You're off to Scotland tomorrow and we shall miss you so much.
Yes, Uncle always takes us to some dreadfully remote places at this time of year where we never see a soul and it's so dreary.
Why does he?
I don't know.
It's a shame.
Why? Are you sorry we're going?
Sorry, why? It's put me and Jack into a perfect fever. That's why we were so anxious to see you here today.
It's lucky Uncle is away in town, or I don't think we could have come.
Why?
I don't know, but he raises such odd objections, and then you know he's so peculiar about Kitty.
Why?
She's an heiress, you know, and he's her guardian.
Miss Verdun, have you forgotten the dance the other night, and never shall?
No.
No. Those stolen moments in the garden by ourselves were the happiest of all my life. And out there in the moonlight. Oh, moonlight's the true atmosphere for the sentiment.
I wonder how many people have said that.
Oh, Kitty, I know. When you like, you can be an awful plague, but today you are quite cynical.
I know I am. I'm thinking of that man.
Of what, ma'am?
Of my guardian, Mr. Spettigue, who hurries us away from all our best friends directly before we get to know anyone really well, for fear of...
For fear of what?
No, I don't know.
Why does he?
Because he's a selfish, wicked old man.
Are you really sorry to go away?
No, I'm angry. But don't speak about it anymore, or, as Amy says, I shall cry.
What a dear, sweet old lady your aunt must be, Mr. Wickham. I am longing to know her. Where is she?
Jack! Where's my aunt? What?
I don't know.
Why, she's hardly arrived yet.
No. Oh, Kitty, Mr. Wickham's aunt hasn't come yet.
Hasn't come? Oh, then we'll run and do some shopping and come back. Shan't be long. Goodbye.
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 Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye. Oh.
See that? Off like a shot when they found out your aunt wasn't here.
It makes an awful difference, doesn't it?
Now, look here. You cut off to the station and bundle the old girl here in a fly.
The old girl? What do you mean?
Well, your aunt. And I'll see you after the lunch and keep an eye on Babs.
All right, I say, Jack, I feel happier since I've seen them, don't you?
Yes, be off.
I say, old chap, have you got any hairpins?
Hairpins? Great Scott, no.
May I send your man for some?
Yes, certainly.
I say, Jack, have you got sixpence?
No, afraid not. No.
We haven't got anything. I say, Brassett, I gave you half a crown just now. Do you mind making it 2 shillings and getting me a 6 penny worth of hairpins?
Certainly, my lord.
You can keep the change. I say, Jack, where are those girls?
Yes, but what the deuce made you jump out like that? They might have seen you.
I didn't know they were here.
Look out, there's somebody else. By George, there was a lot of hope in what Kitty said. In another minute, I'd have told her that I... But never mind, everything's going on splendidly. Come in.
Jack.
Dad!
My dear boy.
Dear old Dad! What brings you here? Where have you come from?
From town, my lad. To have a chat with you and to bring you your cheque.
Thanks, Dad. You're a brick.
A bit overbaked, my boy, after all my years in India.
A bit crisp, Dad, but a humbug pictorially.
Am I? How do you make that out?
Oh, how old are you?
What do you say to 50?
50?
1.
Who would believe it?
And you, Jack, seem much older than I was at your age. I suppose it's the times. Even the old college shows it. Very new ivy, new paint.
Alma Mater's still an old beauty still, Dad.
I suppose she is, by aid of the gentle artifices of the toilette. Well, we all grow old.
And as presently as possible. Why, dear old Dad, even you at 50. 50 years ago would have been a stout, white-haired or bald, top-booted, domineering old boy. And instead, here you are, smart, bang up-to-date sort of chap. One can talk to like a chum. Now, how have you done it?
Don't know.
Do you drink?
All I want.
Eat well?
Never noticed.
There you are. Consequently, health, good, temper, perfect. We're all going to be great pals, Dad.
Here you are, my boy. There's your cheque to go on with.
Thanks, Dad. I haven't seen half enough of you.
I see your hospitality.
I hope, Dad, we can have more.
Well, never mind. Same when I was a lad.
I've been done over that wine monstrously.
Were you? Never mind, so was I. Done over everything monstrously, college, but settled up. I'm very satisfied with you. Very. It's something to go down from college with a record like yours. I say, my boy, where the deuce did you get these cigars?
Those, Dad.
That accounts for the bills. And now, my lad, we must begin to think.
Think?
Now that I have come into the family title, as you know, I've also, which you don't know, come into the family debts and difficulties.
Debts?
Which is far more than I expected, with the result that all the money I've been saving for you in India goes to pay them. And in short, Jack, you and I, for the next few years, will be, comparatively speaking, poor men.
Poor men? This settles me with old Spettigue.
However, I'm in hopes of a small appointment for you in Bengal.
Bengal? What a horrible place! What is it, Brassett?
Lordship's hairpins, sir.
Confound the hairpins! By George, the dad'll be an odd one. I must get rid of Babs somehow if the dad stays. Stays? Why not? Dad, I have an idea. Couldn't this matter be settled by a wealthy marriage?
No, that's the sort of thing I rather deprecate. I don't think, Jack,
Listen, my chum, this is Charlie Wickham's aunt. Donna Lucia Dalvadores is coming here to lunch today. She's a widow.
A widow?
And a millionaire.
And a millionaire?
And a charming woman.
No, Jack, I don't think I'd advise you to do a thing of this kind merely for the sake of money.
No, not me, Dad, you.
Me? You a young rascal.
Ah.
No. I shall never marry again.
Dad, think it over. What are your things?
At the hotel. Don't be rash.
Go and change. Make yourself look as nice as possible. Come back to lunch at 1 o'clock. And Dad, put a flower in your buttonhole.
I say, Jack,
Oh, Dad, Charlie Wickham, Charlie, my father.
Glad to know you, my boy. Glad to know you.
Nephew, nice boy. You'll like it.
What was the fire brigade?
Don't forget, put a flower in your buttonhole takes years off a man. A flower in his buttonhole.
No, Jack, you come and lunch with me at the Mitre.
Now, don't be rash, Dad. See her first. See her first.
All right, Jack, I'll have a look at her.
Well, what is it?
Read that.
Important business. Don't expect me for a few days. Lucia Dalvadores? No!
She's not coming.
But she must go. Why? Telegram.
No use. There's no time.
But hang it, the girls won't remain without a chaperone. What are we to do?
Couldn't we ask the proctor's wife, old Mrs.
Sit and stare like an owl.
Oh, here they are. They're coming.
No! What's another way to do?
I say, Jack, come look at me.
What the deuce is that? By George! Splendid! Charlie, come here, quick. Do you know what a pious fraud is?
A pious fraud?
First cousin to a miracle. Look.
What is it?
Babs. Your aunt.
Babs? My aunt?
It's the only one we've got, so you'll have to make the best of her.
I say, look here. Oh. How's this?
Splendid!
No, who's that?
The girls.
The girls?
Charlie's aunt can't come.
Can't she? I'll go take these off.
No, they won't stop if you do.
Won't stop? What do you mean?
You must be Charlie's aunt.
Me? No.
Show them in, Brassett. You've got back. So glad.
Yes, we've been longer than we intended, but I wanted to get some flowers for Charlie's aunt. Has she come?
Yes, has she? I hope she's come.
Oh, yes, she's come. Donna Lucia, Miss Spettigue, Miss Verdun girls, Donna Lucia Dalvadores, Charlie's aunt. Go on, say something.
How do you do, my dears?
We called upon you before, Donna Lucia, but hadn't arrived.
And we've brought you these.
Oh, thank you.
I hope your journey from town hasn't tired you.
Oh, no, it was very jolly. Pleasant, I mean. What the deuce am I to do with these things?
Stick them in your dress.
You look worried, Mr. Wickham. Are you ill?
No, I'm anxious. I'm
He's a little affected at the meeting his aunt today for the first time. Why the dickens don't you say something?
What the dickens am I to say?
Talk about the weather.
Charming weather.
Oh,
Oh,
yes, delightful.
Yes, it's charming.
You know you're placing me in a terribly false position.
May I arrange these for you, Donna Lucia? After all, we have some nice weather sometimes in poor old England.
What on earth does she mean by that?
You're a foreigner.
A foreigner? What did you say my name was?
Donna Lucia Dalvadores.
What, am I Irish?
no English. Married a Portuguese abroad
A widow
from Brazil.
and a millionaire.
I say, Charlie, do I have any children?
No, you fool. No.
Well, I ought to know. That's all right. Now I can go ahead. Yes, wonderful weather for England.
Yes.
Yes.
it is.
Shall I take them to the chapel or the cloisters?
No. You leave that to me and Charlie. We'll attend them.
Of course, Oxford is all very new to you, Donna Lucia, but it's a dear old place in any weather. Amy and I will show you all about.
I shall be delighted.
You're staying till tomorrow, are you not?
Am I staying till tomorrow?
No.
No!
Oh.
Oh, but you will, you must. Mustn't she, Kitty?
I'm afraid Auntie can't stay after today.
No, you see, it's my washing day.
She has so much business to attend to in town.
Yes, lawyers, stocks.
Yes, stocks and socks are all very important, you know.
Oh, I'm so sorry. We've so long to know you.
Have you, my dear?
Mr. Wickham has told us so much about you that he has made us quite love you.
Has he, my dear?
And he's so grateful. He says he owes everything to you and never could repay you. And oh, he's such a good, frank, upright man. It was noble of you.
Of course, my dear. It was only my duty to see after the welfare of my poor brothers.
Sisters, you fool.
Sisters, you fool. Sisters and brother-in-law's orphan girl.
Boy! Boy!
Boy! I'll say twins in a minute.
Yes, but it was so good of you to find out. He was so far away in a foreign land, and he might have been left to starve or to fall into cruel hands, but you have a good, kind, affectionate nature.
Have I, my dear?
Anyone can see it in your face.
No.
I feel I could tell my whole heart to you.
Don't let her.
I'm not going to, the dear little thing.
You don't mind my talking to you like this, do you?
My dear, you are a very charming little girl of whom I'm sure I could grow very fond. And you must tell me all you like someday when you know me better. How the devil is that?
Oh, I feel I've known you years and years already.
Jealous? I'm very sorry, but it was very nice.
Mr. Chesney. I beg pardon, sir, but I heard Mr. Spettigue inquiring at the gate for your room, sir.
Oh,
dear.
dear.
Uncle's back.
Mr. Spettigue?
Mr. Spettigue back? I thought he was in London.
Mr. Chesney, I beg of you to send him away.
What am I to say? What am I to do?
Stay where you are, Babs. Tell him what you like, only get rid of him.
Why doesn't somebody answer this door?
What do you want?
Why doesn't somebody answer this door?
What do you want?
I wish to see Mr. Chesney.
Where did you get that hat? Take it off, sir. Don't sit down. I am not sitting down. I didn't ask you to sit down.
We'll waive that for the present, madam. I wish to see Mr. Chesney at once.
Well, you can't see him. He is not present. I am the only person present.
But the porter told me that 2 young ladies, my niece and my ward, were here.
I tell you, I am the only young lady present.
But he told me he saw them come in.
And didn't he tell you he saw them go out?
No.
Very well then, what more do you want?
They've gone into the garden.
They've done nothing of the kind.
Then they've gone into the town.
Well, why couldn't you think of that before? And now, sir, having got all the information you are likely to get in your present condition.
Madam?
Disgraceful. Where have you been?
What do you mean, madam? I'm annoyed, but perfectly sober.
Well, you don't look it. Other people can be annoyed as well as yourself.
Madam, I apologize. Good morning. Did you see anything strike that hat?
I beg your pardon?
Did you see anything strike that hat?
He wants me to do it again. Oh, my dears.
It was sweet of you.
You darling.
Look at him, Jack.
I'll punch him in the head if he does that again. Here's my father, Donna Lucia. Donna Lucia, take care. Here's my father.
Look here, am I any relation to him?
No, you're Charlie's aunt from Brazil.
Brazil. Where's that?
You know, where the nuts come from. Miss Verdun, my father.
Delighted.
Miss Pettigrew, my father.
Charm. Thank you. Now, Jack, has she come?
Oh, yes, she's come. Go on, Charlie. Introduce your aunt.
Donna Lucia Dalvadores, Sir Francis Chesney, Jack's father.
How do you do, Sir Francis?
How do you do?
I'm Charlie's aunt from Brazil, where the nuts come from.
I say, Jack.
Yes?
Is that the lady?
Yes.
Oh, by George.
Don't go, Dad. Go on. Charlie's told you all about him.
Charlie's told you all about him.
No.
No.
My nephew, Charles.
My nephew, Charles, has told me so much about you.
In his letters.
In his letters. Is that all right, wasn't it?
No, it isn't.
Do it yourself.
I'm much obliged to Mr. Wykeham, but I only met him today for the first time.
See, yes, but Dad, I've been simply photographing you to Charlie for years.
Yes, he's a splendid photographer.
Remember, you've only just come to England and you've never seen Charlie till today.
Why didn't you say that before?
Jack, my dear boy, it's impossible.
Dad.
Well, look at her.
Eh? Oh, good gracious.
Is luncheon ready?
Brassett!
I do believe luncheon is ready, sir.
Good. Take my father and be careful how you talk to him. Dad, will you take Donna Lucia?
Allow me, Donna Lucia.
You'll sit beside me, won't you, Sir Francis?
I shall be delighted. You've travelled a great deal, I suppose.
Oh, yes, I've been a great traveller, Sir Francis. I came all this way from... Oh, bollocks.
Well, it's all right, dear. I've been a great traveller, Sir Francis. I came all the way from London early this morning.
Donna Lucia, Aunt. Aunt! Mayonnaise.
Thank you.
Miss Pettigrew.
Yes, please.
Miss Verdun.
Please.
Oh, what a pretty flower.
Oh, do you like it? Oh, will you accept it?
Oh, thank you. I'll have it stuffed.
Jack, mayonnaise. Open the wine brasset.
You have very pleasant rooms here, Mr. Chesney.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes, they're awfully nice rooms, Mr. Chesney, I'm sure. Don't you think so, Sir Francis?
Pleasanter today than usual, I fancy. Donna Lucia, may I have the pleasure? Jack, my boy, where did you get this stuff?
May I have a little water, please?
Open the champagne brasset.
I can't find it, sir.
Can't find it. Do you know where it is, Charlie?
No.
What's become of it? I thought it was an ice.
What is it? What is it you want?
The champagne, Donna Lucia.
What, haven't you got any? Well, I thought you'd forget something, so I brought some with me in my bag. My bag, Brasset.
Ah! So, I was right after all, and that old fool of a woman told me they were not here.
Huh. Mr. Pettigrew.
Don't address me, sir. And this is the way you take advantage of my absence.
Mr. Pettigrew.
Don't address me, sir. I have no wish to hold any conversation with you.
But won't you allow us to explain?
My business is with this young man, sir, and not with you.
But you won't listen to either of them.
Go away, madam, and don't interfere.
Oh, where did you get that hat? Take it off, sir.
You forget yourself, sir.
Perhaps you'll remember, sir, that ladies are present.
I disapprove of their presence and request them to return with me.
We can discuss this matter on a more fitting occasion.
Certainly. Most excellent suggestion. Let him call again.
You are a very foolish old woman, and I must beg of you not to interfere. Ladies, come.
Sir, you cannot put such an affront upon Mr. Wykeham's friends.
I don't know them. I don't know them.
Introduce me, Mr. Wykeham.
Mr. Pettigrew, Sir Francis Chesney.
Mr. Chesney is my son, sir. And this lady is...
Pray don't introduce him to me. I have been sufficiently insulted by this old gentleman already.
I consult my own feelings when I say that I am deeply annoyed to find, on prematurely returning from town, my niece and my ward lunching without my permission with these two young gentlemen.
To meet Mr. Wykeham's aunt.
Indeed,
There is no indeed about it, sir. I repeat, to meet Mr. Wykeham's aunt.
In my mind, it matters little.
In my mind, it matters everything. Therefore, allow me to introduce you. Donna Lucia d'Alvarez, Mr. What's his confounded name, Jack?
Donna Lucia,
That's you.
the celebrated millionaire. Oh, how do you do?
How do you do? I'm Charlie's aunt from Brazil, where the nuts come from.
Oh, I've been very indiscreet. Oh, I am sorry, very, very sorry.
Go on, he's apologized. Ask him to lunch.
Well, I thought you were very rude, but if you apologize, I...
Oh, by all means, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry.
You'll stay to lunch, won't you?
If you wish it. And am I forgiven?
Forgiven. Here, accept this peace offering.
My flower.
Oh, no.
Allow me, Donna Lucia.
No, allow me. And all right, this is where we're going to take our interval. So let's say we resume at 2:10.
Right.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll be back at 2:10 with the rest. This is this is a lot of fun. even though I've never seen the play before, there are certain lines, from Brazil, where the nuts come from. So that's.
My mother directed a production of this with middle schoolers when I was probably high school age, and she had a couple of very talented kids in it. It was quite funny.
Wow. Yeah, and with so many of these sorts of comedies, it's really driven by economic necessity.
Yeah.
That's a neat little thing with a. Yeah, Taylor was saying that she'd been in a production where there was a play. There's a play about doing this play at like a community theater, which I'm not familiar with. But I mean, because it is such a staple. I mean, there's the movie version with Jack Benny, which I've probably seen bits of, but I haven't seen an actual production of this. I don't think so. So this is.
Yeah, it's sort of a tough play to do a reading of because there's so much physical. A lot of the humor comes from physical things that are happening, and so it's a bit tricky without some of the visuals, but still.
It's true. Yeah, and also that Brandon Thomas, the author, was also an actor. And so that I think that's another thing that really sort of informs it as to how much sort of stage business there. I mean, that's so integral to how it works, and sort of like the moment of, he comes back dressed up like that, and it's like, okay, great, we've got this. But it is, yeah. So this is a lot of fun. So we've got a question to say if this will be done by 3. I think there's a good possibility since we are at about midway point at about 2. So, but it is quite. I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, it's a comedy, and I mean, even though I haven't seen that, I'm familiar with like Brazil, where the nuts come from. Is
it moves very quickly. I'm surprised at how quickly it moves, even through the scene.
Yeah.
And even for a comedy.
Yeah, well, it's because it's a farce, actually, and that's the thing. It's zip, 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 and it's it's tricky to do this way.
And it's a more physical farce than most of the ones that I've read. Like physical in that, Jack and Charlie spend half of the first act just beating up Babs.
Yeah. Exactly.
In various ways.
Yeah. Well, obviously we can't do any of the business, so that's.
Unfortunately, I wish we could. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to do. Some of it's kind of hard to do without all those kind of
the physical interactions.
Oh yeah, well, it'd be wonderful to be able to do this play at some point. Just really
like a live would be filled with like energy and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is, I mean, and it was interesting. I mean, the original person who played Babberley was an actor who then ended up he played it for a long time, and Brandon Thomas was an actor who had a good career as an actor, and he wrote some other plays, but this is the only one that's really sort of known. And at one point, the actor who played Babberley was like, well, I gave him the idea, so I should get some of the royalties as well.
Oh.
Well, actually,
actors.
Thomas, once the original actor left, actually took over the role for a while, because the show ran for 4 years in London, I think.
Jeez.
Yeah, which at that point was, I mean, quite.
Then it came over here, and the guy who played Charlie, I don't know how many of you are old movie fans, but he pops up in several movies from the 1930s. And in fact, he's the guy who plays, if anybody's ever seen the movie 20th Century, which the show that, on the 20th Century, the musical is based on. He, in the original, the crazy person's going around, saying repent, putting up stickers and stuff, is a man. And the guy who played original Charlie's aunt in this country, who's actually an English guy, played that role in that movie. Etienne Giraudoux was his name.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, because that's great because it is the 20th century is just such a great screwball comedy and one of
Oh
the
yeah,
really
yeah,
great John Barrymore screen performances where you really get to see, I mean, part of what made him so great and Carol Lombard as well, you
oh
know.
yeah, yeah. But
So
unfortunately, she died tragically
more
much too early.
unfortunately, but all of them pretty great.
But Barrymore in comedy was, he did several screen comedies where he was very funny,
Mhm.
very erratic and difficult to work with because of course he had a drinking problem at that point. But
Yeah.
they never knew what they were going to get on any given day apparently. So
Yeah, no, and it's interesting also. I mean, we have some like Shakespearean recordings of him, but they're all from like the end of his career, when he was almost sort of like kind of playing a caricature of himself
right,
most of the time. But there is, I mean, the film of Romeo and Juliet. I mean, his Mercutio in that is really,
yeah,
I mean, it's sort of, I mean, it's just, it seems, it's not, I don't think it's a great movie. And it really, it's like just Leslie Howard and Norman Shearer just looks so old for Romeo and Juliet. But
yeah.
I really think that with John Barrymore as Mercutio and Basil Rathbone as Tybalt are really
Yeah, terrific.
highlights of that.
And one of my favorite actresses of all time, Dame Edna Oliver, not Dame, Edna May Oliver as the nurse.
Oh yeah,
It's terrific.
Absolutely. Yeah.
She's always so wonderful. Apparently, she was one of the most beloved ladies in Hollywood. Everybody loved her. She was just that kind of person, despite the fact that she played, old battle axes quite a bit of the time. But and she died tragically too young too.
I can't look at Basil Rathbone and not just see Sherlock Holmes. It's a real problem.
I got a Basil Rathbone story, which I won't go into at the moment because it takes a while to tell it. But I once actually was assisted sort of with cooking and cleaning Basil Rathbone's widow for a few days, believe it or not.
Wow.
I was much younger than I am now, but she liked me because I was a Basil Rathbone fan, which I am. So
Yeah, me too. I've been a big Basil Rathbone fan, Sherlock Holmes, but also, I mean, Robin Hood, Captain Hood,
Absolutely,
he
Robin
actually,
Court Jester.
Rathbone actually finally got to hate the role of Sherlock Holmes because everybody identified with him and didn't think about all his other things he'd done, So he got to not to like doing the role finally, but
Right. Well, and because it was the studios that were profiting from it, not him,
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So that's
another friends of my first wife, gal who sang in the chorus at the Metropolitan Opera. They lived across the street from them, and they'd run into Basil Rathbone on the street. This is on West 72nd Street, because they lived in the building next door to the Dakota, and they said he was absolutely charming. Just a delightful man.
Yeah. I mean, there is also a memoir of his, and also one of the fun movies that I don't know if people have seen, Comedy of Terrors. Has anybody seen that?
I love that movie.
Yes. So much
Absolutely
fun.
hilarious.
Basil Rathbone, Vincent Price, Boris Karloff,
Yeah.
Roy.
It's in my collection. Actually, I just it's a riot. Very fun.
Is it based at all on Comedy of Errors?
No, it's
not the same kind of stuff. Okay.
Oh, guys, they're trying to get money, and they have this stingy, mean landlord, played by Basil Rathbone, and they keep bumping him off, and he keeps coming back to life.
Yeah, it's it really is. It's a lot of fun, and yeah, Basil Rathbone. He's when he's by himself, he's always like reciting Macbeth. So
yeah. Oh, I saw the funniest pantomime I ever saw in London. Usually it's the dame who gets all the laughs, but I saw an Aladdin in which the wicked evil magician Ebenezer was played by Simon Callow, and so, and he had the thing about his Ebenezer was that it wasn't just he wanted all the power to be, to be the most powerful person and have the lamp and have all the power. He also wanted to be the world's greatest Shakespearean actor. So all through the course of the afternoon, he was misquoting Shakespeare. It was just absolutely hilarious.
From there, you can jump to Theater of Blood.
Oh yes, yes, one of my all-time favorite films, Theater of Blood.
Extraordinary.
Yeah, it's great. With Vincent Price and Diana Rigg as his daughter. And just sort of a wonderful. I mean, Michael Porter,
Robert Morley.
Yeah. I mean, just a great, a really terrific cast and a really fun movie. I mean, I'd heard various things of them remaking it, making a sort of stage version of it or something, but
there was a play of it at one point or another.
Such a great thing. I mean, it's something I'm sure Kenneth Branagh will probably want to remake. I mean,
it sounds like something he'd like.
Well, it's a perfect vehicle for anyone who wants to choose scenery.
Yeah. And Vincent Price, did a great job in that, and also it's like, yes, in a way of because the premise is, well, this actor who is getting back at all of his critics by killing it, because it also follows right after sort of Dr. Phibes, and it's sort of instead of the biblical plagues, he kills them off using various Shakespeare plays.
Actually, I was down in Delaware at the Delaware Opera one time, and this the wonderful theater they have down there, and Vincent Price came through on one of our off nights. We were still in rehearsal, and did his one-man show about his experiences and stuff. So I got to meet him too, and another absolute charming guy. So all these villains.
Yeah.
In real life, I mean, like so was Boris Karloff. He was like Mr. Mild guy, off stage, off screen.
Villains are much more interesting to play.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's 2:10, so
we should resume.
Yeah.
Is everybody back?
I'm here.
If you're not here, say so.
Didn't say.
Well, hopefully everybody's here. Larry, you start this one off. We are now on the exterior of Jack Chesney's rooms in what would be the quadrangle of the college. I should say that this Brandon Thomas leads off the printed version of this play with a quote from the playwright Arthur Wing Pinero: "While there's tea, there's hope." So anyway, we are, as I said, we are outside. There is an arbor way that leads into the garden, and there is a table that is being set up for tea in the quadrangle, and a nice bench for people to sit on as well. And away we go.
Well, we're sailing along. He makes a wonderful old lady, no doubt about it. A bit singular to look at, perhaps. But then look at some of your old ladies. Nobody'd believe them possible. And he don't seem a bit worse to look at than 2 or 3 I could mention with very high positions too. Both the old gents have got their eye on her. Oh, if they only knew, I fancy. Sir Francis is a favorite, although old Spettigue fancies himself. Well, college gents will do anything.
What are you laughing at, eh?
Oh, sir, I was thinking of an old aunt of mine.
Eh?
Uncle, I mean.
Mind your own business and go to get tea. Do you see? Tea.
Tea, sir. Yes. Yes, sir.
Out here.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Don't stare like that. It's all right. I've got special permission.
Oh, beg pardon, sir.
Well, now for Kitty. Where is she? Everything is going on all right at last. Babs frightened the life out of me 2 or 3 times at lunch, the way he talked into things as if he hadn't had a food for a month. But we got over the worst. All the same, I haven't been able to have my chat yet with Kitty, but now they're all nicely settled down. I've given her a hint to meet me here where we can talk quietly. She is. Hank. I have the most particular appointment here with Kitty, so hook it.
Oh, but so have I, Jack.
With Kitty?
No, with Amy.
Then we both made appointments in the same place. Confound it all. What are we to do?
Well, they're your rooms.
Sorry. Yes, but you're my guest. Here, come on. We'll toss for it. Got any money?
A halfpenny, that's all.
Sudden death. Heads, you and Amy, tails, me and... Yes, yes.
Oh, wait, Jack, that's all the money I've got.
Mr. Chesney, there you are.
Yes, I'm here. In fact, waiting. I was beginning to fear you wouldn't come. Why don't you go? Have you no tact?
What about me and Amy?
Mr. Wickham, there you are.
Oh, yes, I was coming. I was waiting. I am here.
Beastly awkward. Oh, I say, Charlie, have you shown Miss Pettigrew all around the garden?
Oh, yes, Jack, I have 2 or 3 times. In fact, we've just come from there. I wish he'd leave us.
Lovely garden, isn't it?
Yes, I suppose it is.
Suppose. Oh, you haven't seen half of it. Charlie, Miss Pettigrew hasn't seen half the garden. Take her and show her the roses and the primroses and cabbages and things.
But Jack,
And Charlie, tell Miss Pettigrew those beautiful lines of yours. To our garden in summer.
Jack, don't tell her I write poetry. She'll think I'm an awful ass.
And don't forget, Miss Pettigrew, tea here in half an hour.
Oh, very well, Mr. Chesney.
Jack, the others are in the garden, and it worries the life out of me to see Babs.
Well, don't. It's a large garden. Keep out of the way. At last, Miss Verdun. Dear Kitty, we are alone.
Don't you think it was rather selfish of us, Mr. Chesney, to send them away like that?
Well, we tossed for it.
What?
I mean, they'll be much happier together, alone, and it seems as if I could never get 5 minutes with you, safe from some miserable interruption. Indeed, I was beginning to fear you'd think me very rude, neglecting you as I've done.
Oh, no, not at all. I quite understand. I couldn't expect you to devote yourself entirely to me. Indeed, we've had a very pleasant time, and now...
Yes, and now?
I was thinking we ought to be going now.
Go now? Good gracious, no.
Why not?
Before I've had a word with you? Oh, my dear Miss Verdun. Kitty? Won't you sit down? I have something to say to you of importance.
Indeed, Mr. Chesney.
Yes. You know, Miss Verdun, there are times when a fellow's got to think a lot and think long.
I suppose so.
And there are times when a fellow mustn't stop or think, or if he does, he'll spoil his chance.
Yes.
Well, then, Miss Verdun, Kitty, my dear Kitty.
I beg pardon. No, don't mind me. I wanted a word with my boy here.
Oh, then I'll run into the garden and see the roses and primroses and cabbage and things.
Well, Dad, anything important?
Yes, Jack, it is.
And what is it?
You know, I'd do anything to see you get on in the world and make a mark, as I know you will if you get your chance.
You needn't tell me all this, Dad.
Well, Jack, having thought it over, I've decided that you shall continue the career I originally mapped out for you, and seeing a way out of the difficulty, I've determined to take your advice, my boy, and marry a lady of wealth.
I see. You've fallen a victim to the fascinations of some young and lovely...
No, Jack, she's not lovely, and I'm afraid she's not over young, but she has one thing in her favor. She has money, which, after all, is the real object in this instance.
All right, Dad. As long as you're satisfied, go in and win.
And I have to thank you, my boy, for the tip.
Thank me for the tip? I don't remember, Dad. Who's she? What's her name?
You'll be delighted when I tell you.
Yes, well?
Can't you guess?
No, Dad, I can't.
Donna Lucia d'Alvadores.
What? The deuce? Dad, this is impossible.
Impossible? Why, you yourself suggested it, and for your sake, lad, I'm going to do it.
But Dad, you can't.
Can't? Why not? Is there anything against the lady's reputation?
No, but you mustn't. You can't.
Mustn't, can't. Why, Jack, what a boy you are. Didn't you tell me to go to the hotel, change my things, put a flower in my buttonhole, and by George, Jack, I believe the flower's done the trick.
She gave it away, Dad.
Yeah, my dear boy, she's explained all that.
This is horrible. But Dad, circumstances have altered since then.
In what way?
You know you're too good. You're not the man to be thrown away like this.
Say no more, my boy. Your consideration for me settles it. It will put you forward years. Had she been young and lovely, she wouldn't have looked at me. As it is, I flatter myself she's taken rather a fancy to me, and as for old Spettigue, in spite of his marked attentions, I don't think he has the ghost of a chance with me.
Old Spettigue, attentions, great heavens. What are we doing, Dad?
Oh, wish me luck, Jack, wish me luck.
Dad, think it over.
Think it over. That's not the way an old soldier makes love. I'm going into your rooms to get myself a rattling good spanking brandy and soda to bring me up to the mark.
Great Scott, what's the young monkey doing?
Jack, I wish you'd speak to Babs. He's carrying on disgracefully. He's taken Amy away from me and gone off round the garden with her.
Oh, that's nothing to what's going on here. Hear that?
Yes, what is it?
My dad gave himself a rattling good spanking brandy and soda.
Brandy and soda? What for?
To propose to Babs. That's all.
Oh, I knew something awful would come of this. We shall be found out and disgraced. How could you let it go on?
But don't blame me. It was the fault of your muddlehead aunt not knowing her own mind and leaving us in the lurch. Strangle her.
Oh, what shall we do?
We must find Babs and put him up to the governor's game.
Find Babs? But Jack...
Come on. We can go round the garden in different ways until we've got her.
Oh, but Jack, you can't end this horrible.
Oh, shut up. We must keep our heads now or we'll ruin everything. Come on.
Now I'm ready for anybody or anything. Why doesn't she come? I didn't tell the dear boy, more particularly when he raised objections, but she promised to meet me here in 10 minutes. Time's up. Time's up. Ah, my dear Don... that old fool Spettigue, my flower in his coat. Are you looking for anybody?
No.
What's he hanging about here for? Are you in want of anything?
No, I was only thinking it was a very lovely afternoon. Perhaps you haven't seen the garden. It's looking very beautiful. You ought to give it a good look before you go.
I will, before I go. What's he stopping for here? Have a cigarette?
No, thank you. I never smoke in the daytime. Why does he remain? She promised to meet me here in 10 minutes, and time's up. Time's up.
What's he stopping for? I must tell him to go.
I wish I could think of something to get rid of him.
Well, as you are not smoking...
Oh, don't mind me. Don't mind me.
I was only thinking perhaps it would be as well as if you rejoined the ladies in the garden. They might think it rude, both of us being away.
Well, perhaps so. Perhaps so. She's in the garden.
Well, she doesn't appear to be coming. I think I'll go and have another drink.
I say, Dad, you haven't seen Donna Lucia, have you?
No, Jack, I have not.
That's fortunate.
I'm waiting for her here.
Waiting for her here?
Yes, I have an appointment with her. I didn't tell you before, Jack, but she's due. In fact, she's overdue, so get out, my boy, get out.
They mustn't meet till I've seen him. Now, come to think of it, Dad, I saw her only a moment ago.
Oh, where?
In the garden.
In the garden? Hang it, I've just sent old Spettigue there.
I know, Babs isn't there, but where on earth has he gone to? Have you found him?
No, have you?
No, and I've looked all over the place for him.
So have I. And the worst of it is, if he's got Amy with him, it's a shame.
I'll kill the little monkey when I get a hold of him.
Look at him. Isn't that too bad?
Mr. Wickham, there you are. Did you think you'd lost us?
Yes, I'm afraid I did.
Have you been off with that girl, you fool?
No, where?
Stop where you are. I have something to tell you.
Oh, have you?
Charlie, has Miss Pettigrew seen the chapel? Take her away while I tell Babs. You must see the chapel. It's an awfully pretty chapel.
Jack, I'll punch his head if he does it again.
What the deuce do you mean by this game?
What game?
You promised to help us?
Well, I'm doing my best.
Doing your best? Your business was to look after those two old chaps, and here you are. But I've no wish to argue.
No, I shouldn't argue if I were you.
Listen, I want to put you on your guard.
On my guard? Oh, thank you.
Yes, my dad's going to propose to you.
Oh, is he? That's all right. Well, I'm not going to marry him for you or anybody else. I'll see you hanged first.
Of course not, you idiot. All you've got to do is to be calm and refuse him.
Calm and refuse him? But a proposal puts anyone in a flutter, you know that.
All you've got to do is to remember that you're a real old lady.
How the dickens am I to remember that I'm a real old lady with my trousers on?
No, hand your trousers. Look out. Here's the dad. I'm off.
Yes, but what am I to say? I've never been proposed to before.
Oh, say he's taking you by surprise, but whatever you do, mind you, refuse him.
Oh, yes, I'll refuse him.
Really, it's too bad. She made the proposition herself. It was a definite proposition of her own. Ladies are proverbially unpunctual, but... Ah, dear Donna Lucia, here you are. I was beginning to be afraid. I popped into the garden to find you. So good of you to come. Won't you sit down? By Jove, got her at last. Now for the plunge. Begin with a compliment. Wonder what's her real age. However, woman's never too old for a compliment, so here goes. Donna Lucia, you'll pardon the rude metaphor of an old campaigner, I'm sure, but to meet you today for the first time, as I've done, is to me like a lonely traveler coming across some bright little floweret by the wayside.
Do you mean me?
Yes, Donna Lucia, yes. By George, that's a good start.
What am I to say, I wonder? Oh, yes, I think it's very nice and kind of you.
By George, she looks anything between 50 and 100. Well, I've put myself to it, so I must come to the point.
What again?
Donna Lucia, do you know what a man longs for when he's lonely, desolate, and wretched?
A drink?
What a woman doesn't help me a bit. No, Donna Lucia, this is what he longs for. He longs to plant in his own heart that bright little floweret.
I know, by the wayside. Does he really?
Yes, Donna Lucia, yes. And I have come all the way from India to find that little floweret.
You must be tired. Take a chair.
Thank you. It's a long way, Donna Lucia.
Oh, quite a long walk.
But I found it.
Then why don't you wear that in your buttonhole?
Ah, will you let me, or will it be given away to another, as you did before?
Oh, yes, I remember. I was a naughty girl this morning.
But, dear Lucia,
he's getting on.
The floweret, I mean, must sit at the head of my table, walk by my side, dwell in my heart forever. So I'll waste no more words. I'll come to the point with a soldier's bluntness. Will you be my wife? Will you be my little floweret?
Well, you see, you've taken me so much by surprise.
Then I may hope.
I'm afraid not. No, don't hope. I wouldn't hope if I were you.
I beg pardon, Donna Lucia. Do I understand?
I must refuse you. The fact is, I'm another's.
Another's?
I say, don't be downhearted. I'll tell you what I'll do, if you like.
Yes, yes.
I will be a sister to you.
A sister? Only a sister?
Only a sister, nothing more.
And no words of mine can alter your decision.
I'm afraid not. You see, I'm in a more peculiar position than I could ever explain. I am a woman with a history.
It is quite useless our prolonging this interview, and you will accept my regrets and apologies for ever having broached the subject.
Oh, certainly. Anytime you're passing.
Refused. What a relief! I'm sorry, though, for the boy's sake.
Well, here's a nice position.
You fool! What did you want to make me a fool of my dad like that for?
I didn't make a fool of the fool, you fool. Did you hear what he called me?
Yes, a floweret.
Yes, by the wayside. That's a nice thing, isn't it?
Why did you cut him short and refuse him at once?
I couldn't refuse him until he proposed. No lady could. Why, I shall find myself in a divorce court before I knew where I am. Oh, look out for this old Spetchigue. I shall land him one. I know I shall. I'm off.
Ah, Mr. Chesney, have you seen... Oh, there she is. Oh.
What the deuce did he bolt like that for? Anyhow, they don't wreck my future happiness. I must find Kitty. Why, couldn't Charlie's aunt behave like a lady and turn up as she promised, instead of giving us all this trouble? I hate the sight of her before I have even seen her.
First door to the left. Thank you very much. The first door to the left, the man said, Ella.
Yes, here it is. Mr. John Chesney. Shall I knock?
Oh, yes, do, my dear. Chesney. Oh, that name sounds familiar. Why couldn't my nephew remain in his rooms and not compel me to follow him about like this?
You telegraphed to say you couldn't come.
I know, my dear.
And then you changed your mind?
Yes, for about the first time in my life.
Why?
Oh, some vague desire to see him without his knowing. Knock again, my dear.
The porter said they might all be in the garden. I could roam about these old places all day. Isn't it all beautiful?
Dream away, Ella. I shall wait till someone comes.
Oh, to live among these leafy shades, ancient spires and sculptured nooks. Like silent music, a scholar's fairyland.
But to one poor sublunary being, not quite so young as she used to be, a little fatiguing.
And how lovely it must be by moonlight, where the shadows have no sudden fears, but are only folds in the mantle of sleep, and all is peace. And the silver bells chime to the sentinel of angel of the night, who smiles to heaven and whispers back, "All's well, sweet bells, all's well."
You fanciful little woman. What has put all this about angels and so forth into your head today?
Oh, I don't know.
I think I can trace back all the little byways and slyways of thought that generally lead in one direction.
Oh no, it's all so sweet here.
So it was there, by moonlight, seen from the bridge of a certain yacht, the rippling sea, the blue night and the brilliant stars. You see how I remember your words. And a certain someone who told you, as you listened to the chime of the ship's bell, that you looked like the angel of the watch. He was a flattering tongued person, that someone. What was his name again?
I've told you so often.
Lord Fancourt Babberley. But I don't want your mind fixed on these things, my dear. Why, I'd almost forgotten to tell you. I've invested your poor father's money for you, and thanks to his forethought for his little girl, he has rendered you independent for life. And what is worse, independent of me.
Independent?
But you won't be, Ella.
No.
For I've grown to love the little orphan I met in such grief in a strange land so much that I am not independent of her. So let's make a bargain. Put that dreadful evidence of my dependence aside and let it grow and be my little girl and call me Auntie, will you?
Yes, Auntie, yes.
How did your poor father come to have so large a sum of money by him like that? I thought he'd lost it all.
Papa won it at cards.
Won it at cards? When?
During his illness?
From whom?
From Lord Fancourt Baverley.
Ah, is Lord Baverley a gambler too?
No!
Oh.
But, Auntie, if ever we meet, may I give it back?
Well, I don't think he'd take it.
Why not?
It seems to me he took too much trouble to lose it. But I'm not going to speak for him. I don't want you ever to leave me. Oh, my dear, you've set me thinking now.
Have I? What about?
Oh, all about someone who...
Oh, do tell me.
It was before I went abroad to Brazil. I was very young, and he was very shy. He never called me the angel of the watch. But he did get as far as a stammering compliment and a blush. And then...
And then?
Then he was ordered off with his regiment.
Without ever...
Without ever.
Oh, Auntie!
It was out at a dance the evening before he went away.
And you've never loved anyone since?
Oh, I was a sentimental young lady in those days.
What was his name, Auntie?
Frank Chesney. How strange. Oh, I'm afraid we're intruding.
Not at all. The college grounds are open to everyone. I am, so to speak, at home here, merely because these are my son's rooms.
Mr.
Chesney.
And you, pardon my asking, are you, or rather, were you, Lieutenant Frank Chesney?
I was.
And you don't remember me?
I acknowledge with regret that I have no recollection whatever.
It must be more than 20 years since.
20 years?
Oh, he doesn't remember me.
Mm. 20 years is a long time.
20 years. Where was the regiment then, I wonder?
Mrs. Beverly Smith. Oh, everyone's card but my own, of course. Then you've forgotten the day you first embarked for India.
No.
But you've forgotten the evening before?
No, not altogether.
Then...
Lucy! Good gracious! And to think that at that very dance... Oh, but you don't remember that, of course.
No?
Sorry, no, because you never knew. But that night, by George, I nearly made you an avowal that, And we've never met in all that time. Well, over 20 years, we'll say, eh?
Oh, I'm afraid so.
I remember the dance perfectly. You were in white, tied up with blue.
Tied up with blue, like a chocolate box.
Oh, you must meet my son. He's a splendid fellow. These are his rooms, or rather, he has lent them to a college friend, a young fellow named Wickham.
Wickham, yes. Wickham.
Who is entertaining some ladies, two young ladies, and his aunt.
His aunt?
A lady from Brazil.
From Brazil?
Yes. Dona Lucia Dalvadores. I must introduce you.
Auntie, what does he mean?
Wait a minute, my dear. Do I understand you to say that Dona Lucia de Alvadores is here? Actually here?
Yes, in the garden, or was 5 minutes ago. Do you know her?
I've heard of her. Shall I stay and see this out or return to town?
May I trouble you?
Certainly.
Mrs. Beverly Smythe.
Auntie!
I'll find Lucia and the boys, and or perhaps you wouldn't mind coming into the garden to them.
With pleasure. I'm quite curious to see them. My niece, Miss Delahaye.
How do you do?
Colonel?
Sir Francis Chesney.
Ah, come, Ella.
Oh, Jack, my boy. If that had been Dona Lucia, things might have been very different.
What is his lordship up to with the old gent now? Looks as if they were having a game of some kind. I think it's very dangerous running around like that. I'm not sure I didn't catch sight of his lordship's trousers.
And now here we are at last. No one here, and I can speak to you, Kitty, my dear Kitty.
But Jack, look.
What are you doing, Brassett?
Laying the cloth for tea, sir.
Go away!
But you gave orders, sir.
Put it back for a half an hour. Quick, man. Can't you see I'm engaged?
Really, sir. I congratulate you.
Biffy, I confound you. Get out and don't come back. Now, my dear Kitty.
Yes, Jack, you've said that before.
Don't interrupt me. I go straight at most things, and I'm not going to hesitate over this.
Is it that you attach so much importance to it, or that you don't care what you do?
It's both mixed, so Kitty, my dear Kitty.
Yes, Jack?
Kitty, do be serious. In a few hours, you'll be hundreds of miles away, and it may be years before we meet again, unless...
Unless... What?
Will you listen?
I can't help myself.
I've told you how my father intended for me for Parliament and all that.
Yes.
Well, he tells me now that for the next few years I shall have to give up all that and earn my own living.
Well, that will do you no harm, Jack.
That's how I look at it. I've done well up here. I've worked hard, and work tells wherever you are, so I intend to turn to and come out all right one way or another. I've broken the ice at last.
The dear fellow.
I hope they'll keep away.
I'm sure I wish you every success.
Of course, in time I shall be all right, but the question is, will you wait?
Wait? What for?
No, I beg pardon. I didn't mean that.
Oh, you didn't mean that.
No. What I really mean is that before I say anything further, I should like to understand what I've been telling you.
Oh, yes. What was that?
Well, to be practical and lay everything fairly before you. My position in life is something in...
The city?
Thanks. My home in...
Suburban?
Thanks, exactly. Transit.
Bus or rail?
My personal income...
Small.
My extra income...
Precarious.
But under certain conditions, my fears will be nil, my hopes tremendous. Now, you know all. That's how I stand.
Oh, that's how you stand.
Oh. Kitty, it's my duty to tell her all.
Oh, the dear fellow.
I'll kill anyone who comes now.
Well, I hope those happy conditions will be realized to your heart's content.
Kitty, my dear Kitty, they will never be realized without you.
Without me?
Now you're vexed with me. You hate the city. You despise the suburbs. You loathe bosses.
Why should you say that, Jack? As if I hadn't the heart to do what thousands of better girls than I have done.
Kitty.
As if I couldn't guess all the happy fun that is to be got out of cooking and mending and ministering to the wants and happiness of the man who will work and strive for the woman he loves.
And Kitty?
Try me, Jack, for I love you dearly.
You do, Kitty. You do?
As much as you love me, Jack. My dear Kitty.
My dear Kitty, you're a brick. I've done it. I've done it in spite of all of them.
Oh, but what about my guardian, Mrs. Spettigue?
I'll see him at once.
No, that won't do.
Won't do?
No. I must have his consent in writing.
In writing why?
So that he can't retract. You don't know him as well as I do. Now, there's only one person who can get that written consent for us, so be a good boy and send her to me at once.
What, Amy?
No, Charlie's aunt, Donna Lucia.
Donna Lucia? But Kitty!
And now don't ask questions, there's a good boy, but send her to me at once while I find Amy.
Where are we now? This can't go on!
Done it, Jack! I've done it!
Done what?
I've let the cat out of the bag and told her everything.
You fool! What did you tell her? What for what?
Oh, that I love her.
Oh. Is that all?
Oh, yes, but Jack, she's gone off to find Donna Lucia to get her uncle's consent. We'll be in the dickens of a mess yet.
Well, keep cool, man, keep cool. We're all right up to now. We're all right now.
When and how shall I earliest meet her? What are the words that she'll first say to me?
You'll drag us into awful disgrace.
And a damn good job, too. Do you know the things he keeps on saying to me?
He who?
Why, my master, old Spettigue.
What does he say?
Oh, yes, what does he say?
No, Charlie's too young.
Oh.
Get out, man. That's nothing.
No, but it's very embarrassing. Look how well I get on with the girls.
Yes, confound you, too well.
Oh, I do.
Jack, I can't live like this no longer.
Now, don't start that. Some lies have got to be lived.
What for?
To save confessing them, you duffer.
I wish to goodness you'd bring it all to an end.
So do I. I want a drink.
We'd be all right if the donkey would only be reasonable and behave like a lady.
I know all that, but he can't. He doesn't know how.
As it is, he's the selfish idiot ruining and spoiling everything.
Oh, I wish we'd asked Freddie Peel now.
At any rate, Freddie Peel would have stood by us like a man.
Oh, we were fools to trust him.
Selfish little beast.
When you think of all the misery he's put us to.
I feel so infernally indignant I can wring his head off.
Oh, look at him now.
Mr. Chesney, have you seen Donna Lucia?
In the garden.
Here, you chaps, I won't stand for it any longer. Let Charlie have a go.
Oh, what?
I will not wear that dress again.
Take your hands out of your pockets. Here are your braces. Now, petticoat.
No, another dress.
And so I'm collared.
Just when we want old Spettigue in his best humour, you go and risk everything by this fool of a game.
What fool of a game? I'm not going to marry old Spettigue. I could never be happy with a man like that.
You know, Babs, if it was your little girl, we'd do anything for you.
Where's my antimacassar?
Keep your head still blasting when I fix it. There. And all you think of is running after our girls, confound you.
Charlie, am I all right behind? Whee!
Look out. Here are the girls.
Oh, Don Lucia, we've been looking for you everywhere. Amy and I want so much to speak to you.
We're in a difficulty.
A difficulty?
And we want you to be an angel. Now, Jack, do go away.
Yes, Charlie, do go away.
Go away. They want me to be an angel.
You know, Amy's uncle, Mr. Spettigue, is my guardian, and under my father's will gets nearly all my money if I marry without his consent.
And you know Jack and Kitty are in love with each other, and Jack's lost all his money or something.
For years and years.
And Kitty wants you to...
No, wait a moment, Amy dear.
Yes, wait a moment, Amy dear. It's her turn now.
Now it's your turn.
Yes, now it's your turn.
And Amy and Charlie are in love with each other too, but you don't object, do you?
Oh, no, my dears.
You dear old thing.
Now, Jack, do go away.
Yes, go away, Charlie.
Yes, go away. We three girls want to be alone.
I must end this. I must do something.
Well, go and look after the tea. I must bring them all in. Stop this.
Now, first, you know where we left off, don't you?
Yes, you're all in love and want to get married.
Well, yes.
And we want Uncle's consent.
And yours. And we want you to be an angel and do it.
An angel and do it. Do what?
Why, get Mr. Spetigue's consent?
For both of us.
Oh, for both of you?
Yes, first, you see, you'll give your consent to Charlie and Amy, won't you?
Oh, yes, nothing could be nicer.
You are so kind, but I knew it from the first.
Would you like me to be one of your bridesmaids? No, some other time.
Well, now we want you to get his consent, but mind being a legal affair, you understand, don't you?
Oh, yes, your father's will, you mean?
Yes, his consent must be in writing.
In writing.
And you must get it.
Get it?
Yes, you must make him write a letter or something.
Oh, but my dears, I have no influence over him.
Oh, but you're so clever and so kind.
And so rich.
Oh, yes, and so rich. I remember I gave away £500 only this morning.
At any rate, you must try.
Oh, dear Donna Lucia, do say you will try.
We are going away.
Oh, my darlings, don't leave me.
Yes, we're going to Scotland.
Scotland? I know, a beautiful country, where the whiskey comes from.
And you are our only hope.
Oh, Donna Lucia, have you ever been in love?
Oh, yes, dozens of times. I mean, once in love, always in love, you know.
Then you know what it means to us, don't you?
I should rather think I did.
And you'll get his consent for us, won't you?
Well, I'll do my best.
Oh, you can't say no now.
No, not now.
Then we'll find Mr. Spettigue and send him to you at once.
Well, here's a deuce of a mess. Oh, I say, Brassett, can you get me a brandy and a soda? Oh no, here's old Spettigue coming.
Ah, there you are, Donna Lucia. I've been looking for you all afternoon. I have so much to say to you.
Mr. Spettigue? Mr. Spettigue? Oh, will you introduce me to this
How
lady?
Why couldn't you have kept away? Oh, certainly. Donna Lucia, Mrs. Buttercup Smith, Donna Lucia de Alvadores.
How do you do? Well, I'm Charlie's aunt from Brazil, where the nuts come from.
How do you do? Do you know, I'm most interested in meeting you.
Really?
I knew your late husband intimately.
Whatever's the matter, Babs?
She knew my late husband intimately.
But how are you getting on? Everything's all right, isn't it?
No, she knew my late husband intimately.
The deuce! Look out! Here's tea!
Well, what of it?
You must entertain. Now, Donna Lucia, will you pour out the tea?
Oh, certainly.
Interruption, we were getting on so nicely.
Do we all take tea? Let me be mother.
You haven't been in England long, have you?
Change the subject.
Change the subject.
No. Do you take milk and sugar and sugar?
No, do you take milk and sugar?
Ask Mrs. Beverly Smythe if she takes milk and sugar.
Ask Miss Beverly Smythe if she takes milk and sugar.
I think I should like a little sugar and cream, Donna Lucia.
Milk and sugar it is. Oh! Oh, my hat.
Oh, I must keep her in the humor. I must see her alone. I have it. They must come to dinner. After dinner, that's the time for my purpose. Pardon me, but I have a little proposition to make.
Hear, hear.
And I can't take no. Capital of the very thing. There's the carriage. And now I want all of you to come and stay and dine at my house.
Oh, yes, Uncle, how nice of you.
That will be delightful.
Grand idea.
Thanks awfully,
You
sir.
will return with me in the carriage now, Donna Lucia.
I can't. It's impossible.
I will take no denial. I want all of you to come.
I have my niece with me, Miss Delahaye.
Miss Delahaye?
Oh, bring her. Delighted.
No, I can't. My things.
That voice. It is him. It is.
Oh.
No.
And we go on to Act 3. We are now in the drawing room of Spetigue's house. It's a very comfortable house. He is a wealthy solicitor. His furniture, however, being, since he is unmarried, is a little bit behind the times, say about 1850s.
There they go. Dinner's pretty well over now, and they'll all be in here pretty soon. I fancy old Spettigue getting me to come here tonight and butler for him. I suppose he's too mean to have a butler of his own. Well, all I can say is it's simply marvelous the way his lordship's kept it up. He's played the perfect lady something wonderful. Oh, hello? What's up now? Anyhow, if the worst comes to the worst, I've got his lordship's dress clothes with me.
Brysett, give me a quick fly. I'm going home.
You've been here, you've been going on along all right if you paid more attention to old Spettigue. Why did you bolt from the dinner table like that?
It's so awfully dangerous and unkind of you, you know.
Instead of behaving in a dignified manner as Charlie's aunt, here you are going on like some disgraceful Oh,
go on, finish it. Don't spare me. You can't say I'm drunk, now, anyhow, or if I am, it's for want of it.
Now, look here, Babs, this game won't do.
Think of the girls and the solemn promise you gave us to help us for their sakes.
Yes, but she wasn't there then.
She? Who?
The little girl.
What little girl?
Miss Delahaye.
What, the girl with Mrs. What's her name, Smythe?
Yes, Miss Buttercotch Smythe's niece.
Well, what of her?
Why, she's the little girl I met at Monte Carlo, and this butterscotch woman is the woman who took her away, and I'm off.
Stop him! Charlie, quick!
No!
You've got us into this deuce of a mess.
Well, of all the beastly, ungrateful things to say.
What difference can it make to you now?
Why, I want to talk to her.
Talk to her? What about?
I want to tell her what you fellows have been telling your girls. Hang it, I'm just as much in love with her as you are.
Jack, they'll heal everything.
Was there ever such an idiot?
No, there never was. Look at me. I'm a disgrace to my sex.
Well, the worst comes to the worst. We'll take the bull by the horns and be done with him.
You can take the bull by the tail for all I care. And what's more, you can tell those confounded girls of yours to leave off kissing me before her. I won't stand it!
Don't shout, you idiot! We'll make some excuse, say she's ill, put him in a fly, and be done with it.
And Charlie, you can make some excuse to Miss Verdun for me.
Miss Verdun? What have you got to say to Miss Verdun? Come out of it.
Haven't I promised to get old Spettigo's consent in writing, you idiot? There was a helpless couple. You're as helpless as a couple of babies. You want your mothers with you.
This way, madam.
They're coming.
Yeah, sit down quick.
How is your aunt, Mr. Wickham? I'm afraid that she might be ill.
Yes, is there anything the matter?
Aunt has been a bit upset by the heat of the dining room, that's all.
The heat. I found it rather cold.
Yes, Charlie means that cold. You see, Donna Lucia's lived so long in a warm climate.
Won't you try Auntie's smelling salts? They're so good.
Oh, thank you. She's often like this, isn't she, Charlie?
Achoo!
I hope Donna Lucia is all right.
Yes, is she?
Oh, yes. Mr. Chesney says she is all right now.
Well, go and tell Mr. Spettigo he's most anxious and leave her with us.
Yes, we'll look after her now.
I say, you fellows don't leave me like this. It's a deuce of a position. I wonder what they'll talk about. I hope they'll be careful before me.
I wonder who she really is, Auntie.
Oh, some old thing they got after receiving my telegram.
Say something to her, Auntie. I like to hear her talk.
I would, my dear, but look at her. If I thought they intended that to be like me, I'd never forgive them.
Hark, the silly fools.
I say, Bresset, what's the story?
It's just what I expected.
That Dom Pedro was very fond of
I must put a stop to this. Won't you young ladies play something, please?
Well, how rude of her to interrupt like that.
Oh, she couldn't have heard you, Auntie.
Oh, do tell us, Mrs. Beverly Smith.
Yes, anything about Don Pedro would be so interesting. Do tell us.
Oh, but perhaps Donna Lucia would prefer to tell Don Pedro's story herself.
Tom Pedro?
Your late husband, you know. Don Pedro de Alvadores.
Oh, yes, of course. I know his name. But I don't remember his stories. I don't hold to such frivolity. It's too bad of those fellows.
Don't tease her so. Tell the story yourself.
Well, Don Pedro, who was the kindest soul in all the world, but, oh, will Donna Lucia give me permission?
Oh, you won't mind Miss Beverly Smith telling the story, will you?
And you'll listen, won't you?
Well, if I must, I must.
Well, as I said before, Don Pedro, who's the kindest soul in all the world, once found one of his cellar men tipsy, very tipsy.
Oh, tut, tut.
So, Don Pedro, whom the man did not recognize.
Why was Don Pedro tipsy?
No, the man, Donna
The
Lucia.
man was tipsy.
Don Pedro was, of course, most abstemious. That is what makes the point of the story.
Oh, does it?
So, Don Pedro said to the man, "What would Don Pedro say if he saw you like this?"
You're tipsy like this?
Yes.
And what did the man say?
Oh, the man said, "That's where it's so funny."
Oh, is this where we laugh?
No.
The man said, "Oh, that's all right. Don Pedro's often like this."
Tipsy.
Yes.
I love all the damn silly stories. What was the man's name?
Really, I don't know the man's name.
Oh, it's a pity.
But don't you remember the story? It was a favorite one of Don Pedro's.
Oh, perfectly. I shrieked when I heard it first. I say, that reminds me of a very funny story when won't you young ladies play something, please?
Oh, I'm so out of practice. You sing something, Amy.
Oh, I can't. I know nothing new.
No, sing that charming little ballad, ta-ra-ra-boom, yeah.
I'm afraid I can't, Donna Lucia.
Oh, won't you sing something for us, Donna Lucia?
Me?
Yes, one of those charming little Brazilian songs I've heard Don Pedro is so fond of.
No, I haven't sung since I had the measles.
What?
Over 40 years ago.
That's another libel. I was the merest infant.
But I play a little. That's a good idea. I shan't have to talk. I can drown out their conversation.
Well, I hope you've quite recovered from the shock my niece gave you today.
Oh, yes, I was a little upset, wasn't I? I suffer so much from giddiness. Were you ever giddy?
Never.
I was. Well, shall I play a little Beethoven or Bluebells of Scotland? Do you know what?
Come along, my dear friends, come along.
Here they are. Now, don't forget the letter.
Oh, no, I won't forget.
Let's get them all out into the garden and leave her alone with Mr. Spettigue.
Ah, charming, charming. Bring the cigars, Bassett, unless the ladies, Mrs. Beverly Smythe. Donna Lucia, do you object to it?
Oh, smoking? No, I like it. It kills the insects and things.
Look at him, Jack.
What's he doing?
Staring at her like he did all through dinner.
The fool.
Making an opportunity to see her alone. Ah, it's a sweet evening. Perhaps some of you may care to enjoy a cigar in the garden.
No, thank you, sir.
It's a sweet evening.
We've been enjoying ourselves capitally, Miss Verdun. We heard the music.
Yes, Donna Lucia has been playing for us.
How charming of you, Donna Lucia. What should we have done without your dear aunt, Charlie?
Oh.
Don't groan like that, you idiot. Are you fond of music, Mr. Spettigue?
I hope to be.
Why, are you taking lessons? What's he looking at me like that for, like a boiled owl?
Dad, I'm glad you know about Kitty now. She's a splendid girl, isn't she?
I like her very much, I must say, Jack.
Oh, you've taken a load off my mind, Dad. I thought I was quite without means.
Not altogether, my boy. And you've thought this matter well over?
Night and day, Dad, ever since I first met her.
It's a serious step, you know, a serious step.
And now, don't forget, in writing. Amy, let's get them all out into the garden. You take Charlie.
I'm glad I told the dad now.
Why won't you listen to reason?
Of course I listen to reason, but where is the letter?
Ah, I remember. I've not written it yet.
Not yet.
We must find an opportunity to talk it over alone.
That will be nice.
But Charlie, why are you so depressing? We ought to be very happy today.
Oh, Amy, great joys sometimes bring a sort of reaction. I shall be better tomorrow.
Oh, come into the garden.
I've told the dad blank out and he's delighted. But Kitty, you won't regret turning your back on society and the row and all that,
The
right?
stifling hollowness of my own Monday and everybody else's rest of the week, and have something real to think about? Jack, the vista is too heavenly. Come into the garden.
It's a sweet evening. Perhaps you'd like a cigar, Jack?
No, thank you, sir.
It's a sweet evening.
Shall we join them?
Yes, it's a charity to leave those two people alone.
Indeed, why?
Oh, only a little matchmaking mischief, that's all.
On Spettigue's account?
No, on Donna Lucia's.
They've gone. Lucia, they've gone. Yeah, there you are. Lucia, how I have longed for this moment.
Oh, he's at it again.
Lucia, I must speak to you.
No! I am very angry with you.
Lucia, you wound me. Don't say that.
But I do say it. After the promise you made me to treat me like this.
Promise?
The consent you promised in writing.
Lucia, how can you, when we have so much to say that more nearly concerns ourselves?
No, we have not. You don't know me. I'm no ordinary woman.
Lucia, I beg of you to listen to me.
I'll listen to you with pleasure, but there is the letter you promised me.
Will you hear me, Lucia?
I'll hear you with pleasure, but why won't you give me the letter?
Oh, Lucia, do I deserve this?
He deserves 6 months, the old idiot.
Lucia, you are a puzzle, an enigma.
How dare you? Until you give me the letter, all is over between us.
Lucia, that decides me. I go to my room. A brief note.
With full consent and signed, don't forget.
Yes, then say you will be mine.
I'll say anything you like, only don't be too long in the study.
Darling.
Oh, that's all right. I say, what devils we women are. It's too bad of those fellows. I should like to be an old woman for the rest of my life. I haven't had a drink or a smoke all day. Oh, by George, he is a find. I wonder how long he'll be. Hanged if I don't chance it. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
She's smoking.
Auntie, did you find it chilly?
Oh, yes, my dear. I thought I'd get a wrap of some kind.
I'll go upstairs and get you something. I know where your things are.
Are you alone?
Yes, I'm all alone and so sad.
Oh, dear me. What a dreadful smell of smoke.
Yes, I noticed it myself. I'll go and find who it is.
Oh, no, don't go. I wanted to talk to you.
Yes?
About your late husband, Dom Pedro.
Oh, that will be nice.
Do you know, when I met Dom Pedro, he told me he had no wife.
Oh, the wicked storyteller. Oh, but he was a cruel husband.
Well, the Dom Pedro I knew was noble, kind, and gentle.
Oh, that was his father, the old gentleman with the white moustache.
Oh, I never knew such effrontery. Do you know, Donna Lucia, I'm surprised you don't indulge in the habit of smoking. So many Brazilian ladies do, you know.
Well, to tell you the truth, that's just what I was doing when you came in.
Well, then, pray, don't let me interrupt you. I should have been surprised at a pipe.
Can I offer you one?
No, thanks. You see, not being a Brazilian lady, it might be thought strange.
Will you have a drink of any kind?
Oh, no, thanks. Donna Lucia, pardon my curiosity, but have you any children?
Only a few, none to speak of.
Well, I think I should be going into the garden. I fancy Sir Francis has something to say to me. And as it's rather chilly, perhaps you'd better stay in.
Auntie said we weren't to hint about our knowing she's not. Auntie, I'm sure she's only doing it to oblige them. Oh, don't go, please.
Oh, I was going into the garden.
It has turned quite chilly. Auntie sent me in from the garden because of that.
Oh, can I get you a wrap of any kind?
No, thank you. Auntie thinks I'm better here. I've been ill, you know.
Oh, but I didn't know.
Oh, I'm all right now, of course, if I take care.
Yes, you must take great care.
Auntie, I fancy, is more particular than usual this evening. For, you know, years ago, she and Sir Francis were sweethearts.
Were they?
But he went away without telling her he was ever so fond of her. Auntie says he was shy, and he went away without knowing that she was ever so fond of him. But the noblest man I ever knew was shy and oh so kind. He got to know how Papa had become so ill and so poor and lost a large sum of money to him at cards, Auntie thinks. On purpose. I often wondered why they played cards, and Papa's so ill too, but when I asked the doctor if it wasn't doing harm, he said, no, not the game that was being played. But I've got all the money, and if ever we meet, I mean to give it back.
Oh, no, you mustn't ever think of doing that. It would be like accusing him of a sort of cheating, you know.
But it was so much enough, Auntie says, to make me independent for life.
And do you think he'd take you back if he knew that?
Oh, but I should feel it my duty.
It's too late now.
But he went away before I had time to tell him how much I loved him for his kindness to my poor father. You don't mind me telling you all this, do you? I don't know why, but I like to talk with you. I like you, and so I do so long to see him again.
Lucia!
Have you got the letter?
Yes, here is the letter. But first, make my happiness complete. Say that from this blissful moment, we are engaged.
We are engaged. Got it. We are engaged.
Darling.
Mr. Spetague.
Call me Stephen.
Is this the letter, Stephen?
Yes, that is the letter, and we are betrothed.
We are betrothed, darling.
Mrs. Beverly Smythe. Sir Francis, congratulate me. Congratulate me.
I knew it.
I'm the happiest man in the world. But where are the dear children? This must be a day of happiness and rejoicing for us all. For us all.
What on earth does he mean? What's all this excitement about?
Can't you guess?
No.
Didn't I tell you what would happen if we left them alone? Oh, don't you understand? She's accepted him.
What?
Yes. Donna Lucia de Alvadores.
You don't mean that.
I fancy he'll find out his mistake before long.
By George, what a fool I've been.
Why? Are you sorry?
No, but that rascal of a boy of mine made some sort of a stupid suggestion that I should...
That you should offer your hand and heart to Donna Lucia de Alvadores from Brazil, where the nuts come from.
When I think of what a fool I was, or might have been, or should have been...
Oh, then you don't envy him?
Envy him?
Oh, but think of her millions.
Ah, Lucy, when I saw your face...
You didn't recognize it.
No, but when I did. But I told you all that in the garden just now, and you'll be content for a while with a cottage and your old sweetheart.
And you? You would take me, a penniless widow?
Nothing could make me happier.
Frank.
Lucy. Well, what are you smiling at?
Oh, I was only thinking of
What?
Of Donna Lucia de Alvadores.
She's a quaint little figure, I must own.
Auntie, did you find the air chilly?
I didn't notice, my dear.
Auntie, how pretty you look tonight.
Come along, my dear children. Come along. Kitty, you sit there. Amy there. I have something to tell you. Something you will all be very pleased to hear. But where is Donna Lucia?
Donna Lucia's back to her room, I fancy.
Perhaps it's just as well. Now, before she returns, I have a little secret to tell you.
Oh, really?
Secret.
I am sure you'll pardon me if I ask your attention for a few moments.
Good gracious, Jack, what's he going to say?
I know till he said it.
Situated as I am, a lonely widower, a mateless uncle, surrounded with grave responsibilities, my ward, my niece, a good fairy has, I may say, tripped in amongst us, bringing with her unexpected light and joy.
Who does he mean?
Shut up.
Under her influence, I have consented to the engagement of my niece to a gentleman in whose honor and probity I have the fullest confidence, Mr. Charles Wickham.
Charlie, how sweet of your dear aunt.
Furthermore, charmed by irresistible spells, I have consented to the union of my ward with John, the only son of my friend Sir Francis Chesney. Ah, Sir Francis. But what will you say to a third engagement?
A third?
A third? What?
Our good fairy, nay, let me add without further metaphor, one whose name is honored in the southwestern hemisphere as that of Rothschild is in Europe, has consented to become Mrs. Stephen Spettigue. I allude to our dear friend, Donna Lucia de Alvadores. What is that?
Beg pardon, sir. The tray, sir.
Be more careful, Brassett.
Uncle.
Be more careful. Nothing could please me more.
Mr. Spettigue, I can listen to this ghastly farrago no longer.
Mr. Wickham, sir, what do you mean?
I say, sir, and I don't care what the result may be, I can listen to this ghastly...
I presume, sir, in espousing my niece...
I can't! I won't espouse her under these false and lying pretenses. That woman...
Do you allude in such a manner to...
I say that woman...
I must ask you to speak with more respect of your aunt.
She is not my aunt!
Not your aunt? What do you mean?
I love Amy far too sincerely to...
Never mind that, sir. Explain your words.
Mr. Spettigue, will you allow me to say that the blame is mine and let me explain?
I am addressing this person. Answer me, sir. Explain your words.
I must tell the lordship of this.
At the last moment, this morning, my aunt, on whose account we had invited Mr. Bedun and Mrs. Spettigue, telegraphed that she couldn't come. The ladies arrived and we...
And I, sir. prevailed upon another person to, well...
To personate her. I have been treacherously, infamously deceived.
Well, that was not our intention, sir.
Turn that woman, a frump like that with a wig.
Well, you can't blame her for that.
May I come in?
Turn that woman out of my house.
I say, may I come in?
Turn that woman out of the... Who are you, sir?
I'm Charlie's aunt from Brazil, where the nuts come from.
Bancourt Babberley, you duffer!
Bancourt Babberley, I beg your pardon.
Auntie, I told them everything.
What does this mean, sir?
It means that we've all done very wrong, and we're all extremely sorry and tender you our humblest apologies. My apologies, I should say, for if I hadn't offered the temptation, the whole thing would never have occurred.
And if Mr. Spettigue will allow us to add our apologies.
I'm saying we have no words to express our contrition.
It's infamous, infamous! But where is the document obtained from me under these fraudulent pretenses?
Oh, the letter? I have the letter.
It's mine. Mine.
Give it to me. Sir, I demand it.
Allow me.
I shall dispute it. Under her father's will, I shall dispute it.
This letter is addressed and has been delivered to Donna Lucia de Alvadores.
But he is not Donna Lucia de Alvadores.
No, but I am.
You?
Lucy?
Oh, my aunt.
Well, pardon me if I retire. As for you, sir, I shall inquire from the authorities your college in the morning.
Charlie, can you have me up for breach of promise?
Charlie, Mr. Wickham, I mean, how dare you? I'll never forgive you. I'll never forgive any of you for treating Uncle Stephen like that.
Be patient with us, my dear. Your uncle shall have the most profound reparation my influence can make. For my own part, I only shared in the deception when I found another lady had established herself in my place.
No wonder she knew so much about my late husband.
Well, I'm as sorry as anyone, but I trust Jack with my life.
Indeed. Then he must wait till I'm his mother.
Mother?
Yes, Donna Lucia, deceiving me as much as anybody has, however, done me the honor to recollect an old affection. Has promised to assume that authority, so look out, Jack.
Lord Fancourt Babberley, I am afraid you have gained one confidence that nothing could excuse.
I know, and I reproach myself beyond expression, but I wouldn't part with the memory of that confidence to save my life. And if Miss Delahaye will allow me to say so, I'm willing to atone for it with a lifelong devotion.
Ella, my dear?
Auntie?
Be sure that you do so. Now, where's my son?
Here, Mama.
I shall have to talk to you very seriously before I give you this.
Oh.
Charlie, I'll never forgive you if you deceive that sweet girl again. And as for you, sir...
Oh, no, never again. I give you my word. I give you my clothes, too, if you like. Done with them. Miss Delahaye has consented to think me over as a husband, and in the future, I resign to Sir Francis Chesney all the claim to Charlie's aunt.
Bravo, everybody. This is a tough one to do this way.
Well done, everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much. That was, it is, you do get the sense of, yes, how much of it is, the fun of it is, would be in the live staging, but everybody really did a terrific job, and thank you. And I think this is one of the few comedies like As You Like It, where you end up with 4 couples reunited at the end. So, well done all. Thank you.
That was fun.
Yeah,
Good job,
and
everyone.
just to let everybody know, next week we'll be doing our Saturday reading at 8 o'clock, where we'll be doing the life and death of King Richard II. So,
Nice.
I mean, there is a spoiler alert in the title, but I think, he's a king from long ago. He's dead already.
Saturday after at 1, we'll be doing You Never Can Tell by George Bernard Shaw.
Yes.
I would like to suggest that most likely this is the first production of Charley's Aunt of any kind in which the Lord Fancourt Babberley or Donald Lucia had a beard and a mustache. It worked perfectly. I thought.
I'm afraid if you're going to do the role for sure, for real, you'd have to shave it. But
Or a little
You don't want to see what's underneath this.
I have, so I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Interesting. There are 3 of us in this cast now with Van Dykes. No.